What would you do if the criminal you've been chasing for months wasn't stealing money, but stealing the truth? In the dark alleys of Chicago, where neon lights reflect off rain-soaked streets, Detective Elena Ramirez follows the trail of an elusive hacker known only as Cipher. For the city, Cipher is a criminal, a ghost breaking into banks and corporations. But when Elena finally corners her in a warehouse by the river, she uncovers something far more dangerous than stolen cash. Cipher isn't chasing wealth, she's exposing secrets. And as bullets fly and shadows close in, Elena realizes that justice in this city isn't black and white. Sometimes, it wears a hoodie, vanishes into the rain, and leaves you questioning which side of the law you're really on. The wind howled through the streets of Chicago, carrying the bitter scent of rain and exhaust. It was 1:42 a.m., and the city felt abandoned, except for the occasional honk of a distant taxi or the echo of a lone pedestrian's footsteps. Detective Elena Ramirez adjusted her coat, the badge over her chest pressing against her heart like a heavy weight. Tonight, she was hunting a ghost, the elusive hacker known only as Cipher, responsible for a series of high-profile cyber heists that had left banks bleeding and corporations reeling. Elena had tracked Cipher's digital footprints for months, watching as he, or she, slipped past the law like a phantom. Every clue led to dead ends, and yet something about tonight felt different. The tip came from an anonymous source. Cipher would be at a small, abandoned warehouse near the river, making one of their final moves. She parked her unmarked car across the street, fog curling from the tires, and stepped into the mist. Her flashlight cut through the darkness, illuminating peeling paint and shattered windows. The air smelled of oil and damp concrete. Elena's heart thumped in her chest as she approached the side door, gun drawn. Inside, the warehouse was cavernous and silent, except for the soft hum of computers. Dozens of monitors flickered, casting eerie glows across the room. And there in the center sat a figure hunched over a keyboard. The hood over the figure's head concealed their face. "Freeze!" Elena shouted. "Chicago PD! Step away from the equipment!" The figure jerked upright, revealing a young woman, barely 25, with striking green eyes and a defiant expression. "You have no idea what you're stepping into," she said, her voice steady but tinged with fear. Elena took a step closer. "Cipher, you've caused millions in damage. It's over." Cipher smirked. "Do you know why I do this?" she asked. "Because people like you think rules matter more than people. The banks, the corporations, they steal from us every day. I just even the scales." Before Elena could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed from the far side of the warehouse. Two masked men emerged, armed with pistols. Cipher's smirk widened. "I told you this wouldn't be easy." Elena dove behind a crate as bullets tore through the air. Sparks flew from broken monitors. Adrenaline coursed through her veins as she returned fire, hitting one of the men in the shoulder. He screamed and stumbled, giving her a split second to move. "Get down!" Cipher shouted, ducking behind a console. Elena noticed she wasn't running away. She was protecting something. On a nearby table, a small hard drive blinked softly. "You're after the money?" Elena shouted over the gunfire. Cipher shook her head. "Not money, evidence." The words sank in. Elena realized the heist wasn't about wealth. It was about proof. She had been chasing a thief, but Cipher was after justice, in her own dangerous way. Another shot rang out. Elena rolled behind a pillar and caught a glimpse of the second man collapsing. She took a deep breath, weighing her options. Capture Cipher now, or save the innocent she might be protecting. Suddenly, the room went dark. Cipher pressed a button on the keyboard, plunging the warehouse into total blackness. Alarms blared as red lights flashed, throwing everything into a chaotic strobe. Elena's vision adjusted to the shadows, just in time to see Cipher sprint toward the far door, hard drive in hand. Elena chased her, but the floor was slick with spilled water. Cipher leaped over debris, agile and determined. At the exit, she paused, glancing back. "You think you're the hero, detective, but the world isn't black and white." Elena hesitated, gun-trained, heart pounding. "Stop! You're not above the law." Cipher smiled, almost sadly. "But sometimes the law isn't enough." Then she vanished into the alley, blending with the night. Elena reached the exit moments later, too late. The rain had washed away any trace of her footsteps. The hard drive was gone. For a moment, Elena felt defeat. She had trained for years, solved countless cases, yet a ghost had slipped through her fingers. But as she stared at the empty alley, she realized something. Cipher wasn't just a criminal. She was a symbol, a reminder that even in a city ruled by rules and regulations, there were those who would bend the system to fight for what they believed was right. The next day, Elena returned to headquarters. Her captain's eyes narrowed when she entered. "You didn't get her?" "No," Elena admitted. "But she left something behind." From her coat pocket, she produced a small envelope, slipped under the door by an anonymous courier overnight. Inside were files, proof of corporate embezzlement, insider fraud, and illegal surveillance programs. Everything Cipher had warned about. Elena exhaled, realizing she had stumbled into a gray world where heroes and criminals weren't so easily defined. Cipher had vanished, but the story wasn't over. Somewhere in the shadows of Chicago, a girl with green eyes was still fighting, still striking against corruption, and still a step ahead of the law. Elena stared at the files, knowing she had a choice. Turn them in, face the consequences, and bring about real justice, or bury the secrets and keep her hands clean. The rain tapped against the window as she pondered her next move, the city alive below, buzzing with secrets, danger, and opportunity. One thing was certain: Chicago would never be the same again. The clock ticked louder with each passing moment, and the woman felt the weight of her choices pressing down. Shadows danced in the alleys, whispering tales of those who dared to take risks. She took a deep breath, stepping away from the familiar and into the chaos that awaited her outside. Every face in the crowd carried a story, and she was eager to write her own. With each notification, the stakes rose higher, and she felt a thrilling rush of uncertainty and excitement. This was her moment. The city pulsed with potential, and she was ready to seize it. In that secluded cafe, secrets exchanged hands like currency, and she realized that trust was a rare commodity in this world. Every choice she made could tip the balance between fortune and misfortune.